اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى آلك الطاهرين المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ومولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء ومسلوب العمامة والرداء. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. Quran chapter 2 verse 155-156. Give good news to those who patiently endure, who say when struck by a disaster, surely to God we belong and to Him we are returning. Inshallah, in this talk we'll talk about the nature of evil, the different types of evil. Could God create a world? Could He have not created a world without suffering, without evil? And we'll talk a bit about death from our perspective. Now, so far we've been covering what? What does it mean to be Muslim? What does it mean to be Muslim? And part of discussing this is that we need to answer some questions. For example, why does God allow evil? We discussed in the first night. Yes, my brother. Yes. Maybe in the end. Inshallah. Thank you. In the first lecture, we talked about God. That God is wise. That God created this world. He's wise. And later we said He's just as well. How can a wise God, a just God, a good God allow evil in this world? This is what has come later to be known as the problem of evil. So we need to understand what our worldview about these matters is. This is inshallah what I'll try to cover today. Now, when people say evil, usually they mean two things. They use the word evil to refer to two things, two categories of evil. The first is the natural disasters. The evil that is demonstrated, that seems to us from natural phenomena, volcanoes, earthquakes, floods, these events that actually have some kind of a destructive outcome. And we look at them and say, that's evil. Some people might die. Some houses get destroyed because of these events. So these are natural disasters. So some people say, well, these are evil. Why did God actually create a world where you have this kind of bad results or bad manifestation of nature? That's one. The other type of evil that we refer to, or they refer to, is the evil actually that generates from human beings. The moral evil. Meaning, because we have free will, we might we do good things, but also we might do bad things. Murder, war crimes, all these, which actually bring harm to other people, which bring suffering onto other people. It inflicts pain onto others. How does God allow this in this world if God is good, if God is merciful, if God is wise, if God is just? These are questions that we are usually asked. So we need to understand what is the Islamic perspective then towards these issues, right? What is the Islamic answer? So let me first start by asking you, all of you, can you give me examples of evil or bad things that we can think about? So I want you to think about things. Just give me examples. Yes, Mustafa. Pardon? Robbery, obviously. Yes, robbery, bad, evil. Anything else? Yes. Murder. Yes, there's so many things. What else? Yes. Cheating, obviously. Huh? Say again? Threat. Yes, threats. Maybe animals feel threatened by some other animals. Yes. Pardon? Gun pointing. Violence. Violence, yes. Huh? Say again? Hostage, taking someone as hostage. So denying someone safety. Yes, obviously. These are examples of bad or evil. Yes. Swearing, saying bad words. Yes. Using someone's rights. Yes, injustice. Stealing. We can think about so many things. Some might say, for example, ignorance. Some might say darkness. Some might say the poison of the snake. Yeah? Some might say the knife. So many people might think of so many things when they think of evil. Now let me just discuss some of these things that everyone has mentioned here. Some of them, okay? There are some things that we call evil that are actually non-existential, meaning they're not something. For example, if you say, look, the room is dark, I'm scared, the room is dark, so darkness is evil, darkness is bad. But actually darkness is not a thing in itself. You know what darkness is? Yeah? What is darkness? What is a shadow? What is your shadow? There's sun, there's light on you. Yes? Your shadow is the place where there's no light. It's just an absence of something. It's like saying, look, there's this glass, empty glass. Why are you saying it's evil? Because it's empty. It doesn't have water, fine. So the absence of water, is that evil? Yeah? That's one thing that we can talk about when we talk about some evils. Some of them, they are not existential. They're not something. They're just the absence of something and we perceive it as evil. Ignorance, for example. Ignorance. It's the absence of knowledge. Someone is able to learn. Okay? It's like an empty container. And it is receiving things. When it is not receiving things, why are you calling this state as evil, for example? That's one. It's a bit philosophical. I won't go into the details of this. But this is just to say about some types of evil. There are other types of evil that are relative. Relative. What do I mean? What do I mean? If I tell you this screen is 50-inch screen, would anyone disagree? Assuming it is. Would anyone disagree? It's a 50-inch screen. Would you disagree? You wouldn't disagree, right? It's a 50-inch screen. It's measured. I can get the measuring tape and actually measure it to be 50 inches. I think they measure them diagonally, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? It's a 50-inch screen. No one will disagree. But now when I say, this screen is big. This screen is big. Would everyone agree? Hasnain, is this screen big? Yes. Agha sitting in the back there, the end of the room. Is this big? It's not. It's small. So someone here is saying it is big. Someone there is saying it is small. Who's right? You don't know because it's relative. Because it depends on who is talking. Middle. So it is somewhere between. Okay, it's somewhere in between. So you can't say it is actually small, definitely, or it is actually big, definitely. It depends. It depends how big you are. It depends where you're sitting. Yeah? If I say, for example, this marathon is 26 miles, and it is 26 miles, would anyone disagree? No, it is actually 26 miles. But when I say this marathon, this 26-mile marathon is difficult for me, it's difficult. Would everyone agree? No. Who will disagree? The good runners. The good runners. They will say, no, it's not difficult. It's difficult for you. So you can't describe it as difficult. You say it's difficult for me. Evil is like this. Some evil, let me say. Some evil is like this. You can't say that this is evil. This is evil. Well, what do you mean evil? Well, there's flooding. Flooding is evil. Okay, why? Well, because when flooding happens, it destroys houses, it kills people. We've seen destruction happening, disasters happening because of flooding. So therefore, it's evil. Okay, did you not hear? So it's evil for you. It's evil for humans. Possibly, one might argue. But did you actually know that flooding can trigger germination of some new plants? So guess what? For these new plants, they're looking forward to the flooding because it's good for them. It helps them germinate. It's evil for you, but it's good for them. Some species of birds and fish, actually, they make use of the results of flooding to help them multiply and reproduce. It creates certain circumstances, certain conditions for them. It's good for them. Why are you saying it's evil? Another example, the poison of the snake. Poison of the snake. Is it good or bad? Is it evil or good? Evil. Well, it depends. It's evil for whom? Because you say, well, the poison, it poisons me, it kills me. Well, guess what? The snake, it loves its poison. It thinks it is actually the reason or the way it can defend itself. It is actually evil for someone like me or for the animals that are going to be bit by a snake. But for the snake itself, poison is good. It helps the snake to survive. Is the wolf good or bad? Bad. It's bad for you and for the animals that are going to be eaten by the wolf, maybe. But the plants here and there in the forest, they would tell you, look, I don't mind that wolf. I mean, it never harmed me in anything, so it's good. It's bad for you because that's how you see it for yourself. You don't see it you don't see the bigger picture. You don't see the bigger picture. So you think that, yeah, it is evil. But in fact, in itself, there's nothing evil in it. It's like the knife. Is the knife evil or good? Well, it depends. In itself, it is good. It helps you peel fruit, helps you cut things. It helps you. It's very, very good, actually. But when you actually ask, maybe the fruit that you're peeling, it might tell you, well, that's, peeling me, assuming that's evil. So things, or evil, when you describe things as evil, many times it is relative. Many times it is relative. So in fact, volcanoes in themselves, you can't say they are evil. You can't say they are evil. Actually, they're playing a big role in the environment, as I'll mention, inshallah, in a minute. So, okay, now you told us about this. You said that some evil is non-existential. It doesn't really, it's nothing existing there to say, why is it created there? And sometimes, or many times, it is relative. But okay, what about the evil created by man? Obviously, there are people stealing from each other, robbing each other, lying, cheating with each other, against each other, right? There are people killing each other. So fighting each other. So what do you do? How do you explain this? How do you explain this evil demonstrated by man? This is where we go to say that God created us in this world with free will. God created us in this world with free will. Meaning, God wanted us to be in this world having the choice. Having the choice. When you say free will, evil has to be a choice on the table. Good or goodness has to be a choice on the table. Why did God create us with free will? This becomes a question of the wisdom of God. Meaning, remember when the first line we said, everything we look around us, we see it is actually serving a purpose. which tells us actually that God, who created all this, is a wise God, who knows what the potential of everything is, and who helps it achieve it. Everything is going on a path towards some purpose. So what's the purpose of us being here? The discussion about this is very long, my brothers and sisters. Very, very long. Why are we here? But bottom line, in one phrase, God made us so that we grow, so that we develop, so that we learn, so that we become more and more perfect, so that we appreciate for our felicity, for our perfection, for our learning. Nothing for himself, by the way. Nothing for God. We said God doesn't need anything. The purpose that he created us for is not for him. He's needless. Otherwise, he would be needy. He's needless. I remember the boys here said, Allah, God is needless. Doesn't need anything. Doesn't need anyone. So the reason we're here is for us to achieve growth and development and felicity. And that itself, the journey itself, is a beautiful experience that we should be attentive to. Right? So, when the purpose behind our existence in this world is for us to develop, is for us to grow, is for us to learn, is for us to polish ourselves, is for our soul to grow and grow and grow and grow and reach that happiness and felicity, that cannot happen unless we have free will. Unless there are options and choices that we have to make in life. Otherwise, the world doesn't work. Otherwise, the world doesn't work. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. And this is why God made this world like this. Always when you want to question anything about this world, go back to the purpose behind our existence. Go back to the wisdom of God. Go back to that. And then you'd be able to understand. Then you'd be able to understand why there are volcanoes, why there are earthquakes, why there are, for example, people who are allowed to oppress others or kill others or lie or steal or so on. Understand the purpose, and that is for all of us to develop. And Allah gave us the choice. He said, look, my purpose is that you develop, is that you grow, you achieve your success and happiness. But you have the choice not to. You choose. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Whoever wills, let them believe. Whoever doesn't, let them disbelieve. You choose. Go. A world where we don't have a free will, where we are forced to do good, there's no option, there's no choice of bad, by the way. There's no choice of bad. We're all forced to do good. No one of us deserves any praise. No one of us would develop in any way. Imagine a school where there's no exams. There's nothing difficult. Everything is easy. Everything is easy. Imagine a military school where there's no hardship, no difficult training. What kind of soldiers are you graduating? Yeah? A world where there's no good, but just bad, just evil, also is purposeless. It doesn't serve any, it doesn't have any meaning. So the meaning of good and bad, the meaning of goodness, or the meaning in general in life, is gotten because of this duality between good and bad. Inshallah, I hope it becomes clearer soon. One thing about the evil that we see in this world, and we need to acknowledge this, by the way, is that, look, sometimes we go, for example, and we destroy forests. We go and we cut down trees. A few years later, we have floods, massive floods, destroying all our houses. Now we sit and say, why does God allow floods? Well, Habibi, why are you not acknowledging your responsibility? Why are you not rising up and owning your mistakes? Admit and accept that you, because of your free will, you've made a mistake and you're paying for the result of your mistakes. Human beings now, what are we doing? We're making nuclear weapons. Tomorrow, if nuclear weapons were used, then we say, why did God kill these people? Why did God do this or do that? God is evil. Habibi, no. It's your doing. It's your action. Don't blame it on God. Don't blame it on God. Why is God causing this suffering to the people of Palestine these days? Terrible things happening. Terrible things. May Allah bless them, inshallah, and ease it up on their hearts. Why is Allah making them suffer? Okay, you, my brother and my sister, who are very concerned about the Palestinian suffering, I'll tell you, why did humanity collectively fail them for 70 odd years? Why do you not go back to our own shortcomings that caused this before saying God did this? It wasn't God who did this. God gave every single one of us the free choice. It is our collective decisions that result into these conclusions. Why do you think the Pharaoh become Pharaoh? Why do you think he did? Why did Pharaoh become what he was? Because the people allowed the circumstances for him to be. Why did Yazid come to that authority? Because of the circumstances that people led for him to be. Not because God put him there. So we say, why God did you make Yazid this tyrant upon us? Or did you make Yazid kill Hussein? Own your mistakes. It is humanity that collectively failed the people of Palestine for 70 years. Yes, of course, there are people who do their best here and there. But this world, it is designed in such a way that results are achieved when people collectively work together. This is why we say boycott, for example. Right? So it shouldn't be stopping only at boycott. There's so many things that we should be able to do, and we should do them. And maybe 50 years ago we should have done them, but we didn't. Maybe because we're excused. I don't know. But don't blame things on God. Just because you don't want to accept that it is an accumulation of some mistakes. So one might ask, okay, look, God is all-powerful. Could he not create this world without suffering? Really? Could he not make that world, or this world we're living in, we're able to achieve perfection, we're able to grow, but without suffering? There's a few verses of poetry attributed to Al-Khayyam. He would say, if I had control over the universe as God does, I would destroy it altogether and make a universe in which all would attain their heart's desire with ease. So this person is claiming that God should have made this world in such a way that people don't suffer, that people, all of them have comfort. Yeah? So could have God not created this? Could such a world actually exist? Now I ask you, could such a world actually exist where there's no suffering? Remember what I said. Go back to the reason behind the creation of us in this world. Always go back to that. What's the purpose of us being here? And that's the mistake that people fall in. They misunderstand God. They do analogy of God with themselves. They do qiyas. They think, look, the way we show mercy is that we like to alleviate suffering from people. We like to help people so that we satisfy their needs and alleviate their suffering and let them leave their pain. Strip them of pain. That's how we help each other. And we think that God is merciful in that meaning. That God is merciful meaning that He should not allow us to feel pain. That He should not allow us to feel discomfort. We should always be comfortable. That's the merciful God in their perception. No. That's why you have to go and see what's the purpose behind us being here. When you understand that, then you would be able to maybe judge what a good world would be for us to achieve that purpose. You need to understand the purpose behind our existence. So we make the mistake when we think our happiness, our felicity, our development is by what? Being what? Comfortable. Being at ease, like this person is saying, I would have created the world where no one suffers, everyone feels at ease. That's where the mistake starts. We think that our happiness is in comfort. We think that. I'm not saying we should seek discomfort, but that's a misunderstanding of the purpose behind this life or the meaning of life. So when we look at natural disasters, for example, now this person who is saying, look, if I were God, I would create this world in a completely different form. Right, okay. So what is your ideal world that you're proposing? What is it? What we believe is that this world is the most perfect world. It can't be more perfect for us to achieve that purpose which God created us for. It can't be more perfect. If you play with any parameter, if you change any setting, that world stops being what it is. It stops serving our purpose. We stop having that free will where we're able to actually demonstrate goodness or evil. And we're able then to grow facing challenges. That would not happen. We discussed in the first night that this world, if you look at it, it's so harmonious. It's so much in harmony. If you want to suggest something, let's say, in the new world I would not create floodings or volcanoes. Really? Oh, in this world, bees sting. They hurt. So I would create the world to be without bees. Really? Effect of bees extinction. Ohio State University. Quoting, without the help of bees, the world would be without such well-loved foods such as chocolate, coffee, peaches, almonds, tomatoes, blueberries, strawberries, apples, pumpkins, melons, vanilla, and many other fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Removing just bees because you think bees are evil. You're destroying the whole world. You think you might want to change a setting so that your world becomes better, but you're actually not. You're actually not achieving anything good. And now I'm just talking about bees, by the way. So go and shape the world that you want to shape for it to be perfect, no one's suffering. And you tell me we still will be able to grow and develop and achieve happiness and felicity? Can you imagine a life where you're not learning anything any day? Can you imagine how boring that life is? Without you are able actually to grow? Can you imagine a life where you're not learning every day and you move in your game of football, for example? You're not improving your performance so that you feel a sense of achievement and success? Can you imagine that kind of world? Some scholars suggest that even Jannah in the afterlife, the mu'minun would still be growing. They would be learning more and more and more. That would not stop. Because then, if so, they would not be as happy. And Allah wants them to be happy. You move up, up, up. You need challenges, you need friction, you need resistance. So that you grow. That's how this world works. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this world with this variation, meaning what? Yes, we know that God made you blind, made me deaf, made that person poor, gave more money to this than that, made that person healthy, made that person very, very sharp and smart, made that person very patient and able, for example, to go and research and research and research. Do you know if God created us, all of us at the same level of wealth, do you know that you would not be sitting here together tonight? If you are not rich having some wealth that I am in need of, why would I go and offer my services of carpentry? Of, for example, plumbing? Well, if you already have your plumbing experience, your wealth, you're a doctor as well, you're an engineer, you studied every single thing, why would you need anyone in this world? It would be a boring world. There would be a world of no relationships. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, in Nahj al-Balagha, Imam Ali would say that God, He engineered the blessings of the poor people in the pockets of the rich people. Why? And God said it in the Quran, لِيَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا سُخْرِيًّا, so that each one of you employs the other. If you don't need something I have, how could we have a relationship? I won't need you. That's how Allah created this world, with this variation. No one of us is the same as the other. We have different potentials. We have different capacities. And that's good. That needs to be looked at as good. This variation is that which makes this painting very beautiful. Imagine a painting that is just one color. That would be a meaningless painting. It is the colors inside these paintings and the details in it that makes it very meaningful. It is the contrast in the color. Sometimes to appreciate a black, you need white. You need that whiteness, otherwise you won't understand what blackness means. Sometimes, if we didn't have Muawiyah, we wouldn't have heard of the magnificence of Ali, alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If we didn't have the evil of Yazid and the wickedness of Yazid, we wouldn't have seen the love, the sacrifices of Hussain and his companions, alayhim salam. If we didn't see the traitors who were standing in front of the Imam facing him on the day of Ashura, we would not understand the magnanimity, how magnanimous Abbas was when he was at the water itself. When Abbas, what broke his heart is not the fact that his eye was shot, but the fact that the water's skin was shot. If your neighbor wasn't in need of your help, you wouldn't be able to show your love and goodness and kindness to others. If we didn't have these, what we call evil, goodness would not have been appreciated. The world would be meaningless. Life would be meaningless. And yes, it is worth it. It is absolutely worth it that we actually have these, what we call evils in the world, so that we appreciate these goodnesses that are around us. Otherwise, everything would be the same. Life would be boring. Life would be meaningless. Evil, that we call evil in this world, it is the thing that helps us grow. It is the thing that helps us become better. When you have difficult exams, it is the thing that makes you study. When you have a difficult material, when you study maths, it's challenging, but it actually it is wiring. It is wiring your brain in such a way that maybe in the future you will not face the same problems that you're asked in the exam. But your brain is being wired in such a way that in the future you will be able to solve similar problems when they come up. That's the reason, by the way, why we study math. Some people say, so what's the use? When will I ever use trigonometry or geometry? Yeah? No, you will use them. If not explicitly them, the brain cells which you developed and grew because of these activities and exercises, you will use those in your life in the future. Never underestimate school, brothers and sisters. Never underestimate any subject in school, because that is teaching you. Even if you don't remember it in 10 years' time, or you don't use it, the activity itself, it made you grow. It made you stronger. That's why you train. Why do we train? To become better and better. To win that championship, to win that race. How do you do it if it is not difficult? How would you shine if everything is easy? How would you be able to actually polish yourself? How would you be able to prepare yourself for the challenges that you will face in the future if you don't face challenges and difficulties now? Also, in our worldview, my brothers and sisters, sometimes some people think, look, the difficulties, the evil is a test. The evil is a test. Meaning, poverty, when you're poor, it's a test. When you're sick, it's a test. And it's true. Yes? When you're suffering, when you're in pain, it's a test from God. But for some reason, when you say, you're happy and wealthy, no one says test. People think that, when things are difficult, it is a test. But when things are rosy, shiny and nice, and we're happy, that's not a test. That's wrong. That's not our worldview. Our worldview, my brothers and sisters, is that the moment we were born in this world, we are being tested. Let me be more accurate. The moment any single person of us becomes baligh, reaches the age of responsibility, you are being tested and you're being assessed. What do you mean? Yes, when you're sick, that's a test from God to see, so that God sees how you behave. Do you use this opportunity to develop, or do you moan about it? Or do you reject God? Or do you start rejecting everything around you? Making your life even much more difficult. How do you behave there? Do you embrace that challenge, or do you not? When you're poor, yes, how do you behave? Do you give up or no? Do you try to change your circumstances? Do you try your best actually to make good out of the situation that you are in, and maybe many other millions, if not billions, are in? That's a test. But guess what? When you're wealthy, that's a test as well. When you're happy, that's a test. When you're enjoying or celebrating a success that you've had, inshallah, all your lives are full of success. That's a test. When you succeed, when you pass your exam, that's a test. God will want to see you, how you behave. Are you humble, or are you going to boast and show off to people? It's a test. Happiness is as much of a test as sadness. That's our worldview. Allah in the Quran says in Surah Al-Fajr, وَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانُ إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ فَأَكْرَمَهُ وَنَعَمَهُ. That man, when God gives him blessings, he would say, God has blessed me. And when God tests him, so Allah says, when God tests him with blessings, man would say, yeah, God blessed me. When God tests man with difficulties, with poverty, man would despair. So Allah is saying both are tests. Both. It's not just the difficulties. So these things that you see as evil, they are a test. And guess what? The things that you see as good, they are a test too. Behave around them. Both situations. It's a very important concept to remember. What about death? What about death? Inshallah, I'll finish with this point. Brothers, sisters, if you believe that this world we're living in, it is it, and after it there's nothing, yes, for you, death is evil. Because it's the destruction of yourself. It is the complete annihilation of you. It's the finishing of you. So you see it as the termination of your life. But that's not how we see it. As believers in God and the message, we see death, or we see this life, as a small period of time, if that's the right description. A small phase in a much bigger phase. And death is only the thing that separates us from that real life. Real life. God describes the afterlife as the real life. That's why we try here to secure our real life. The more meaningful life, which is going to come after death. So for us, death, as like Hussain alayhi salam, al-mawtu illa qantara. Death is only like a gate. It's only a bridge. It's only a bridge. We don't fear it. We look forward to it. Because it is the thing that separates us from meeting our beloved, from moving to our real life, the next life. And this is how we see those children being massacred by those people, by the Israeli regime, the criminal, the genocidal. We see them as actually winning. They are victorious. We, of course, feel sad for them. Our hearts break. But for them, they're starting a new life, a more beautiful life, a more meaningful life, the real life. And it is us who should we be sorry for. This is how we understand death. This is why the mu'min actually believes that, as narrations tell us, on the day of judgment, because of what we see of the rewards of God, we will ask God, "Oh God, why did you not make all my life a life of calamities and difficulties and tribulations?" Because of what we see, how God will actually not just compensate, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He will flood His grace over you. Because of a moment of patience that you've observed. As the verse said that we started with, Bashir as-sabirin, give good news to those who are patient, to those who don't despair, to those who would love God even more when life gets harder and harder and harder. They see God, they see an opportunity, they see a ladder, they see a rope that was extended for them to go towards God, and they would grab that difficulty. They would grab that calamity to ascend to God. This is how we understand Zainab when she says, "Ma ra'aytu illa jamila Karbala," was the opportunity for Hussein and the companions of Hussein to reach that highest level of ascension with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards God. That's how believers understand it. That's why, if you're truly a mu'min, nothing ever will break you. Because every challenge that breaks someone else, you see it as a ladder, as an escalator, as an opportunity for you to be more successful, to get that salvation in the afterlife and to get that success. May Allah inshallah help us understand more about this world and understand more about His vast wisdom. We move with our hearts to Karbala. On the day of Ashura, after everyone had left this dunya, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas insisted multiple times on Imam Hussain, as it is said, for permission to go and fight. In the end, Abbas said to the Imam, "Sayyidi ya Aba Abdullah, laqad daqa sadri min ha'ula'i al-qawm." My master Hussain, my master Abu Abdullah, I can no longer take it from these people. Imam would reply, "Akhi Abu al-Fadl, anta qa'idu katibati." My brother, you're the pillar of my camp. You're the carrier of my standard. But if you must go, O brother Abbas, then go get some water for the children. Get water for Ruqayya, get water for Sakina. They're thirsty. It had been 3 days. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, it is said, charges against the enemy. Hundreds of people flee in front of him. This is the lion son of Ali bin Abi Talib. This is the son of Haydar, Abbas. He would charge reciting لا أرهب الموت إذا الموت رقى حتى أواري في المصاليت لقى نفسي لنفس الطاهر نفسي لنفس المصطفى الطهر وقى إني أنا العباس أغدو بالسقى. I do not fear death when death is to come. I shall be sacrificed for the pure and chosen one. I am Abbas. Abbas makes his way to the river and he approaches the water. He enters the water. It had been 3 days since he had a sip of water. Abbas looks at the water, and I can imagine that in that water, instead of seeing his own reflection, he might have seen the reflection of Sakina and Zainab, the reflection of the children, Ruqayya saying, Al-Atash, I'm thirsty, O uncle. I am thirsty. Abbas extended his hand to the water. It is said that he took a handful, he lifted it up to his mouth. But Abbas, Hussein is thirsty too, and Hussein is alone too. يا نفس من بعد الحسين وبعده لا كنت أو تكوني هذا حسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين. Abbas would recite, myself is cheap after Hussein. After him I shall not remain. This is Hussein about to meet his fate, and the sweetness of water I am to taste. My God, this is not how my faith taught me to behave. Men in the enemy began saying, if he drinks from the water, he will not leave any of us alive today. So they surrounded Abbas. Abbas threw the water back into the river. Abbas filled the water skin instead, and he walked out trying to head back to the camp of Hussein alayhi salam. How excited must Abbas have been. He's got water finally. Now all he has to do is just make his way back to the camp and give the water to the children. Umar bin Sa'ad said, block his way. This water should not arrive to the camp of Hussein under any condition. بينما هو يقاتل إذ كمن له زيد بن الرقام من وراء نخلة. A man from the enemy hiding behind a palm tree approached Abbas and struck him on his right arm. Abbas held the sword with his left hand. Did he give up? No. Yes, he might have lost his right arm. Yes, but the children in the camp are still thirsty. Hussein is still thirsty. So he took the sword with his left and said, Wallahi in qata'tumu yamini inni uhami abadan an dini wa an imamin sadiq al-yaqin. By God, if you cut off my right arm, forever I shall defend Islam and defend the truthful and certain Imam. Abbas continued to make his way to the camp. But then what? Then what happened, Abbas? ثم كمن له حكيم بن الطفيل. At that moment, another accursed man came from behind a palm tree and struck Abbas on his left arm. Ajarakumullah. Abbas tried to hold the sword with whatever is left of his arms and said, Ya nafs la takhshay min al-kuffari. Abbas, do not fear the disbelievers' power over you, even though they have now cut off your left arm too. Abbas, the mercy of the Almighty God awaits you. Wa Abbas, Abul Fadl al-Abbas now has no arms to fight with. Umar bin Sa'ad wanted to make sure that Abbas does not return to the camp. So they all strike arrows towards Abbas. It is said that one arrow pierced his chest. Wallahi, very painful. Do you know what is even more painful? One arrow pierced his eye. Wallahi, there's something that's even more painful. One arrow pierced the water skin and the water fell down on the floor. وَقَفَ الْعَبَّاسُ مُتَحَيِّرًا. Abbas is now confused what to do. He had no eyes to see with. He had no arms to fight with. No hands to remove the arrow from his eye even. Abbas, above all, there's no water to get back to the camp of Hussein. No water to bring to the children. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. What happens next? أجركم الله. جاءه لعين وضربه بعمود من حديد على رأسه. Someone attacked Abbas with an iron pole on his head. Abbas then calls out, أخي عليك مني السلام يا أبا عبد الله. Peace be upon you, oh my brother Abu Abdullah. Allahu Akbar. For a lifetime, Abbas would never call Hussein my brother. He would always call him my master. Sayyidi, Sayyidi. Now Abbas wants to taste saying, oh brother Hussein, before he leaves this dunya. Oh brother, come to me. Akhi adrikni. When Imam Hussain heard the cries of his brother Abbas calling Akhi Hussain, Abu Abdullah came to Abbas. He looked down at him, no arms and an arrow fixed in his eye. A report says that Abu Abdullah descended from his horse. But Abbas didn't know it was Hussein, and he thought it was a man from the enemy coming to finish him. It is said that Abbas said to that man, oh man, whoever you are, I ask you by the name of whom you worship, wait for a few moments so I can see my brother, so I can bid him farewell before you do what you do. أخي أبو الغفار الحسين replies, أنا أخوك الذي كسرت الظهر. That's me, oh Abbas. What is this you're saying? الآن انكسر ظهري. It is now that my back is broken. وقلت حيلتي وشمت بي عدوي. تو را دارم چه غم دارم، ابوالفضل علم دارم، چه سنش تو بردارم، چه سن رو در حرم آرم، نه قوت در کمر دارم، ابوالفضل علم دارم. نگهبان حرم عباس، امید خواهرم عباس، یا زینب پناه دخترم عباس، چه سنش تو بردارم، بیا برگرد خیمه ای که سکارم، منو تنها نگذار ای علم دارم. Imam Hussain returned back to the camp, but this time empty-handed. He did not carry Abbas with him. Who received Hussein? It was Zainab. Zainab received Abu Abdullah. Oh brother Hussein, where is my brother Abbas? Hussein, where is Abbas? Imam al-Hussain said, عظم الله لك الأجر يا زينب. Abbas left this dunya وأخاه وعباسا نگومی خوی بری داداشو تنها بذاری، نمیدونی چقدر دردی بی علم داری، برو اما بدون به زینبت بیابره، لب خشک رقیه منو ای با وفا، فقط یادت نره میدونی بعد رفتنه غارت میشه پیراهنم، یه عده بی شرم و حیا باز میرن روی تنم. یا ابوالفضل ابوالفضل بمون حسین بدون تو میمیره ابوالفضل بمون حسین بدون تو میمیره ابوالفضل بمون حسین بدون تو میمیره داره شرمندگی میریزه از نگاه من بگو هر چه میگی حرف نرفتن و نزن به اندازه کافی غربت تو را دیدم همون لحظه که آوردن امان نامه رو من خجالت کشیدم اینقدر دلم تنگ شده بذار برم خسته شدم اینقدر دلم تنگ شده بذار برم خسته شدم اگه نرم دیر حالا از خجالت من میمیرم ابوالفضل بمون حسین بدون تو میمیره ابوالفضل بمون حسین بدون تو میمیره ابوالفضل بدون حسین بمون حسین بدون تو میمیره حضرت رقیه چی گفت؟ اما هیچ جان رو که دیگه من آب نمیخوام فقط پیشم بمون تا که تموم شه ازدهام نرو که من میترسم از بزم شرابمون از خنده های هر من شمر سنا پیش ربابمون پیش ربابمون دیگه چی عمو جان چشم عدو به خیمه هاست بیگت که برگرد و عمو بیگت که برگرده عمو خدا نیاره که نیاد غارت میشه مجرم و حسین یا حسین السلام علیک یا ابا الفضل العباس انا لله و انا الیه راجعون ولا حول ولا قوة الا بالله العلی العظیم إلهي أقسم عليك بالزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها فرج عنا يا الله 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 إلهي we ask you by Muhammad and Ali Muhammad that you may accept your amal. Ilahi we ask you that you may forgive us our sins by the tears that we shed on Abil Fadl, Bab al-Hawaj. Ilahi, accept from us our little deeds. Ilahi, grant the hajat, grant the needs of everyone in need. Ilahi, بحق أبي الفضل العباس. Ilahi, give the shifa, give the complete quick and speedy recovery to every of the mu'mineen and mu'minat, especially Ya Rabbi, people attending this meeting, their relatives, people of this community. Ilahi, بحق أبي الفضل العباس, by the sacrifices of Abil Fadl al-Abbas. Ilahi, send your blessings and mercy to all those who passed away, of the relatives of the attendees of this majlis. Ya Rabbi, shower them with your mercy. Ilahi, accept our du'as and amal with 5 times. Amma yujibul muttar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibu. Amma yujibul. أما يجيب المضطر أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا ويكشف السوء اكشف السوء عنا يا Allah for the acceptance of your du'as in your majlis. Inshallah, for the qada of your hajat, for the shifa of all the marda, to the souls of all the mu'mineen and mu'minat of your relatives, to the souls of the shuhada, the ulama. Inshallah, for the preservedness of our ulama, for the victory of all the oppressed against all oppressors around the world, for the victory of our brothers and sisters in Palestine especially, and everyone supporting them. Please recite Surah Al-Fatiha, preceded by Salawat.